What's up, dudes, dudettes, and non-binaries? You're listening to the Wrestling with Entertainment podcast with the incredible one, the neon phenomenon, the baller, the shot caller, the man who makes all the ladies holler, Anthony Idol.
And we are wrestling with WWE Money in the Bank. It was last Sunday, and if you were smart, you listened to it on the remix on the UNBS network with Scooter Dust on the remix. And yeah, the first pay-per-view back with actual fans. Kaliko, your thoughts on the pay-per-view as a whole?
Probably the best pay-per-view of the year, just because the fans are back. And let's just go, we go into the matches, MVP of the week are the fans, because everybody came with enthusiasm. WWE was kind of, but that makes sense because there's a bunch of kids in the audience. But the fans are back, and it just made everything whole again. So it was a good pay-per-view, great pay-per-view.
Drew?
Yeah, the fans made the whole experience 20 times better than that stupid-ass Thunderdome. I got so tired of watching the Thunderdome and the pandemic era and the empty arena era. So shout out to those fans that went there and came with their energy and their enthusiasm. And you could tell the guys and girls fed off of that 100%. Because it's been hard to watch them wrestle in front of LED screens for however months it has been.
A year and a half. And yeah, let's get into it. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Nikki Ash, almost a superhero, defeated Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, Zelina, and Liv. There's a new not Doctor Who, no, Dr. Seuss book. In 15 minutes and 46 seconds, Nikki Ash is your new women's Money in the Bank holder until Monday. We'll talk about it in a second. But I was the one that actually picked Nikki. So, Kaliko, your thoughts on the match?
I picked her too, fool. Like, not like you're the only one that picked her. I picked her. I knew damn well what was going to happen. But because she was the person that benefited the most from damn that whole Rhea Charlotte triangle, so it made sense for her to win the briefcase.
Right.
Like, she's the most current relevant storyline person, and plus everybody was talking shit about, Vince must hate her because they made her into this gimmick, and then she wins Money in the Bank and no one gives a fuck. So yeah, show how fickle we are, though.
What say you, Drew?
I didn't pick her per se, to be honest with you. I did not pick her. I picked Naomi because I feel like she deserves a lot more than what she's been given. But I had no problem with Nikki. She's right now the most over female on Raw. With the fans back, the kids love her. The gimmicks. This is, for me, it's the gimmick in a sense because we're doing the comedic thing, but with what you guys are saying, with her being involved in that triangle with Rhea and Charlotte, it makes the most sense, and she does benefit the most from it.
And the next night on Raw, she successfully cashed in the Money in the Bank on Charlotte. Spoiler alert on that. And she is your new Raw Women's Champion. So it's not like it's an experiment at this point. Give her the Money in the Bank, see what she does with it. They gave her the belt. They pulled the trigger almost immediately on her.
Well, you knew. To me, it was a change when they did those count-out matches, and Nikki won both. When she beat both Rhea and Charlotte, I was like, okay, that's different because you usually don't see that. You usually see either one or the other one-up them. But when Nikki won both matches, I was like, oh, yeah, it's going down. That was the seed to me.
You know, Drew, you made the assumption that she was kind of like a ha-ha character. But, we had one thing that WWE was kind of lacking in the women's division was that kid fan favorite, the Bailey role, that now Nikki Cross is filling.
Yeah,
So
you're right. You're right. It's just maybe because I'm an older head and I like my stuff to be a little bit more serious, and I understand that WWE is obviously targeting the kids, which is a smart thing to do, and not worry about hardcore fans. But we talked about that before. But yeah, it's true. Looking at it, yeah, the kids don't have like that Bailey type where they want to hug or have that fun factor where now the kids are buying the superhero in training stuff to run around at the shows and this, that, and the third. I think my booking of it was like still thinking we're in that Thunderdome era. You get what I mean?
right,
Where now with the fans, it's like, okay, we now got a fresh new eyes on this. So now when you go into a city and now Nikki ASF comes out, huge pop, the kids are gonna be in the crowd with their superhero in training and this, that, and the third. Yeah, because we didn't have anybody that was more of that kid friendly. Rhea Ripley doesn't look kid friendly at all.
no.
She's more of that emo goth look, and then Charlotte's a heel, and then you go over to SmackDown, Bianca Belair, but not really, and Sasha, not really. Bailey is a heel over on that side. So yeah, we did need some comedic relief for that kid friendly performer. And it's cool that it's Nikki Cross, and it's cool that she got away from the Alexa Bliss craziness and is kind of doing her own thing and making this character her own.
Absolutely.
My only issue is that they pulled the trigger on Nikki, and that's fine. But I wish they had did that to Bailey, because it would have been a whole totally different scenario with her. But then we wouldn't get the Bailey that we see now. So
And I
two
mean,
sides of the coin, right?
we got fans again. Kids are gonna buy, the mask, the cape, the short, the pants, the underwear, all that good shit. So yeah, why not pull the trigger on Nikki now? Next match, AJ Styles and Omos defeated the Viking Raiders to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships in 12 minutes and 56 seconds. My opinion, best match on the card. But when you have the Viking Raiders and AJ frickin' Styles, how can it not be a great match? No, Kaliko?
Good match, but they didn't make it. You kind of knew the Viking Raiders didn't have a chance. So, I mean, that was the only problem. So now the issue is, who's going to be the next tag team now?
True. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, it was a decent match, but again, who challenges them? That's another problem with WWE, and I think I talked about this with you guys a few months back, is that there is no other viable tag teams. It's like you should just cut the tag team titles down to one belt that can circulate from show to show. Or you just say the tag team titles are only available for Raw, and that's it. It's just who else is AJ and Amos going to face? Eventually, they're going to have to turn on one another to go into their kind of storyline. But in the meantime, who is their next crop of challengers?
I think we'll see how that plays out later on. Now we're gonna be talking about the next two matches now. Next, Bobby Lashley defeated Kofi Kingston, retained the WWE Championship in 7 minutes and 37 seconds. And then 2 matches later, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Big E defeated Kevin Owens, Riddle, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, John Morrison, and Drew McIntyre in 18 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's get to Bobby Lashley first. not really a match to really speak of. No, Kaliko?
When you say beat, don't you mean he murdered Kofi Kingston? Because I felt like that was a murder scene, man. It's just, whew. But he had to be taken seriously. And when they told him stop the popping the champagne and stopping it basically was like a athlete who won a championship and spent time doing everything else except focusing on his task. And and MVP got him back on the task. Kofi got him back on the task, and Kofi paid the price. First 48, Kofi edition.
Drew, anything you want to add? Oh, I think we lost Drew. Yep. Drew's muted at the moment. Alright, well, we
Lost him?
yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, your thought, anything you want to add to Bobby and Kofi?
It was a squash match. It was to just prove that Bobby Lashley had needed to get back on track after the whole I got women and party and all that kind of stuff. So MVP got him back on track, got him back to the almighty ways, and he just put a whooping on Kofi Kingston.
Now, getting into the other match I mentioned, Big E winning the Money in the Bank, it would have made sense that Big E kind of uses that to get revenge on Bobby Lashley for messing up his boys. Nope. Monday Night Raw, Goldberg makes his comeback and says Bobby Lashley's nuts, making me and possibly Kaliko question why the hell we're going to SummerSlam in the first place. Kaliko?
I mean, Biggie being the first African American Money in the Bank winner is the bigger story for me, man. I was like, holy cow.
That can't be true.
Didn't think that was coming, but Big E is going to be on SmackDown. So because to me, he needs his own. His cash in should be his own cash in. So let him do his thing. Let Lashley do his thing because I feel like Big E could be the guy that beat Roman.
Interesting. Well, let's talk Goldberg. Why does Goldberg need
Where do
to?
I go?
You know, I don't think people don't want to see him. If you've seen the reaction he got on Raw, obviously there's a desire there. But why does he have to be the main event for the championship when he hasn't earned anything? Anybody that wants to answer?
Because he has 2 matches left on his contract. That's why we're going to this match. I'm never a fan. I've never been a fan of Goldberg. I think Goldberg was for his time period. Yeah, he did great things. But I do not want to spend my money to watch a 54-year-old man that almost dropped one of the greatest characters on their head in Saudi Arabia, could barely pick up the Fiend, wrestle again. It's just crazy to me.
Kaliko? Nope, we lost Kaliko. If she was ever really here to begin with. Now, I guess we could come back to. We'll go back to Big E. winning the championship, the Money in the Bank. Again, not a bad match, great match. And I picked Riddle to win that match, but that's another story. If they do it right, could Big E be a top star by winning this Money in the Bank briefcase? Drew?
Yes, 100%. I think what Big E should do is you have what? It's a whole year, so July. Maybe he's the guy that is the one that takes down Roman at next year's Mania. Maybe he does something like Seth Rollins did a few years ago. That cash-in is still talked about to this day. So I think putting this Money in the Bank briefcase on Big E, and he can always threaten to be the guy to cash in, because obviously we know Cena ain't winning the belt. We know Edge ain't winning the belt, and Roman's only viable options going forward is to feud with his former Shield brother in Seth Rollins, or it's Big E. So Big E could do one of two things: just cash in on him on a SmackDown to pop a rating, or he does what RVD did with John Cena and say, I am actually telling you this is the date I am cashing in on, and I'm going to take the belt from you. He is the next star coming out of this. You have Roman as your heel. He needs a babyface. He needs somebody to have a rivalry with. And I think going forward, it should be Big E.
Maybe Kaliko's back?
Was for Cena.
That all makes sense. It all makes sense. My thing is that the only reason I wouldn't want it to be a surprise, because Big E be talking mad shit to Paul Heyman sometimes. So he let him get his shit talking out, because he could talk a smack. So I feel like he was already there with the New Day, but I think him winning the Intercontinental title made him not tag team guy. So now he just got to break the ceiling to be big man guy. And I think Money in the Bank helped him with that. And if you had heard the promo after Money in the Bank with them, when he was like, yeah, winning the briefcase is one thing, but getting the belt is another, that tells me that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
All right. Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley to win the Raw Women's Championship in 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Seems like Charlotte and Rhea has been having some really good matches. This one was pretty good as well. Charlotte is now an 11-time champion, but at the end of the day, this is kind of unconsequential because Nikki Ash is our new champion. Correct, Kaliko?
Well, if you think about this, of the 4 women's Money in the Bank cash-ins, Charlotte has been 3 of them. So if she says she the opportunity, she ain't lying. She the lick. So it makes sense for Charlotte, for it to be Charlotte, because in storyline, because Nikki was basically beefing with Charlotte anyway, and that's basically what spawned this whole superhero thing, and B, the history of Charlotte being cashed in on, i.e. saying she is the opportunity.
True. Drew?
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. It's just that everybody that talks so negative about Charlotte, especially winning all this championship, and they eliminated 4 of her championship wins, because I just feel like there's some kind of internal beef between Paul and Vince, and they had some kind of beef at the dinner table at the mansion, and Vince is like, yeah, your NXT guys championships don't mean crap to me when they come to the main roster, so they're eliminated. Something to that effect. That because it's like, oh, she's a 14 champion, and all of a sudden she's an 11-time champ, so you're just eliminating her NXT. I'm a big baseball fan, so it doesn't matter what you did down in single A, double A, triple A. When you get to the show, your numbers go back to 0, and you got to prove yourself in the show. So that's why those championships down there, because nobody ever brings up, oh, this are like when the Raptors won the NBA championship. Nobody brought up that or they call him Barber Fred, and Pascal Siakam won a championship playing in the NBA D League. Nobody says that. They're like, oh, they won the NBA championship. So I understand that, but I just think there's internal beef there with Vince and Paul. But I digress. But Rhea Ripley and Charlotte have great matches. Charlotte is the opportunity. Charlotte is putting over these girls left and right and making them look like $1 million doing so. So I think there was no issue with that going forward. And then Nikki Cross, because we all know they had a storyline. It was intertwined. The superhero character came from it. So everything booking-wise worked out perfectly.
Let's go on to our last match. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman defeated Edge to retain the Universal Championship in 33 minutes and 5 seconds. What say you, Kaliko?
Great match. Roman does what Roman does. But to me, of course, everybody was going to have the interferences, and seeds had to be planted elsewhere. So that was my only gripe, was the fact that seeds were planted, like the fact that they had to use the match to plant seeds everywhere else. But to me, Roman should have been able to do this on his own to show that he is the man. But it prompts Cena to come out and explain the whole asshole thing. So I get it.
Turn right, Kaliko.
But I'm going to go left.
Turn right, damn it. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But seeds were already planted years ago when Seth had Edge's neck on that chair and could have snapped his neck for like the 54th time. But we all knew that Edge wasn't going to be the guy to beat Roman, and it's smart that it's not Edge. I'm glad that Edge is spearing off over to something with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. I think those two are going to have an amazing match. This match was a very, very entertaining match. And like Kaliko said, I would have threw out the whole interference thing, but I understand why it's there because you want to push the story. But other than that, to me, that was the match of the night.
All right. All that being said, the pit preview as a whole, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, Kaliko.
Best pay-per-view they had ever. And they can thank the fans for that and the fact that they went outside the box.
All right. And that will conclude. Oh no, Joe. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. Best pay-per-view of 2021 from the WWE.
I gotta give it a thumbs up as well. But I find it hard to find a bad Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They've always been really great, solid pay-per-views.
I mean, that's technically their 5th major event. Because I feel like it's not. I feel like Money in the Bank is bigger than Survivor Series.
At this point, yeah.
So to me, that's their unofficial Big 5.
All right, and that will conclude our
What
coverage
exit I'm taking, babe?
of Money in the Bank 2021.
Oh, okay, it's coming up.
Next week on the show, I think we have to address the the elephant in the room, and that would be that CM Punk allegedly signed with AEW, but I'm still on the rumor and innuendo of that. But once again, we'll talk all about that next week on the show. Drew, where can we find the Gr8ful Yardy podcast?
You can find it on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Overcast, and wherever else you get your favorite podcasts. For social media, you can check out our Facebook page. That is facebook.com/The8ful Yardy. And Grateful is spelled GR8FUL. I'm on Twitter at DWrestling99 and also on Instagram, Drew_Wrestling99. And the number 99 is no, not for Wayne Gretzky. It's the year that I graduated Catholic high school.
And of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. This episode was, of course, sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And join us this Wednesday as we interview Brutal Bob Evans. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at WrestlingWithE for all your Wrestling with E needs. And you can find us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can find me on the freeway playing Ludacris Move Bitch at I Am Kaliko.
And you can, of course, find Scooter Dust at Scooter Dust. For our very special guest, Drew, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.